Klaus is an amazing movie. This movie was released on Netflix in 2019, and I actually didn't see it till 2022, but I watched it that Christmas, and then I watched it again this Christmas. And watching it again this Christmas just reminded me how good it is, and I need to talk about it. I need to talk about this movie is amazing. It is not only my favorite Christmas movie, but also one of my favorite animated movies ever, because it excels in all the ways that an animated movie should, that any story should. It's just amazing. So I'm going to tell you why, and this review will include spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie, I recommend that you pause this video and go watch it. Just go watch it. You will not be disappointed. And if you have seen the movie or you don't care about spoilers, let's get into it. Here's my review. Klaus is the story of a reclusive toy maker and a selfish postman who form an unlikely friendship and bring joy to a dark, cold town that desperately needs it. I'm going to hit all my points one by one about what makes this movie so good and what makes it a masterpiece. This movie is a masterpiece. So I'm going to one by one hit all my points about what makes it so good. Number one, the voice acting. This movie was casted amazingly. Jesper is voiced by Jason Schwartzman, who would go on to play Spot in Across the Spider-Verse, and Lucky Flickerman in The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. All of Jesper's lines are delivered beautifully and with so much personality. Then we have J.K. Simmons as Klaus, and you might know him as Ford Pines from Gravity Falls. He was the perfect choice with a voice that is a little gruff, but also gentle. It's great. Number two, the animation. No one has done animation like Klaus before, and no one has done it since. It's a 2D animated film, but there is so much lighting, shading, and texture that it looks 3D. This movie is so beautiful. The backgrounds are stellar and blend perfectly with the characters, since they use the same art methods on both. It's such a visually astounding movie. Literally pause it at any time, and I guarantee whatever frame you land on will be a beautiful illustration in and of itself. Also, the characters are so expressive. The facial expressions are so good. Jesper specifically has so much personality. And then I love what they do with the eyes. Sometimes they give the eyes these white accents that give an extra glow of lighting. And when the characters cry, it looks great. They draw the eyes like getting redder. This is such a step of realism that adds to how visually wonderful this movie is. And the tears themselves look great. Also, they do an amazing job, not only using lighting to convey a fully dimensional look, but also to convey mood. I also wanted to mention the character designs because I love the character designs of this movie, specifically Klaus and Jesper. Their designs are great because Klaus has this really broad-shouldered look. He's got a really wispy beard and is really tall and intimidating, so that he's scary when Jesper first meets him. He's intimidating. It's oh my gosh, this guy could kill me. Because Jesper's scared of him at first. That's what he thinks when he sees him. So that adds to his scariness in the beginning, except when we actually learn about him and that scariness goes away, he's no longer intimidating. The broad-shoulderedness doesn't stop him from being soft, it works from intimidating in the beginning to just huggable later in the movie. So it's great. His design is great. He also looks like a Studio Saloon character, the way his face is drawn, his design. He looks like Studio Saloon, and I love that because I love Studio Saloon, and that's just a great tie in my mind to have to this movie. So he's great. Klaus's design is great. And then Jesper's design, I also really like his design because he's kind of the opposite of Klaus because he's smaller and skinnier and stuff. But he also, he's slightly unproportionate in a desirable way. It's a good character design because he's got really long and skinny arms, but then big hands, which kind of adds to that feeling of clumsiness or that he doesn't know what he's doing. But it's just cool. It's just cool. And his face is obviously great. The way they draw his face every time, his expressions are perfect. All the expressions are perfect. It's amazing. A movie is nothing without a strong cast. So let's talk about Jesper and Klaus, and let's start with Jesper because he is the main character of this movie. He is an amazing character. He starts off the story as a very selfish, lazy guy who just wants to spend his days living out of his father's wallet. But after being sent to Smearensburg, we see him slowly growing more open-minded, kind, and selfless. It's a masterfully executed character arc, and Jesper is just such a fun character. He's selfish and dramatic and petty, and it just makes him fun. And then when you see him grow and open up, he becomes caring and empathetic, and that's just enjoyable too. He's just at all stages. He's just a fun character. He's energetic, he teases the other characters, he banters really well with Klaus and the other characters. He's just awesome. He's amazing, and his arc is magnificent. Klaus. Now, let's talk about Klaus, who the movie is actually named after. He is the second main character, second to Jesper, who's the point of view character. And Klaus is a Santa character done right. I'll say it, I never really care for Santa characters. They're always too jolly. Characters have to have flaws, or else they will be impossible to emotionally relate to. And that often leaves Santa characters as such, since people prioritize them being the symbol of good in the world over being an actual character. But now we have Klaus, and he is an amazing character. He's untalkative, standoffish, and unwelcoming to others in the beginning. However, as he and Jesper grow closer, he grows out of his shell. We see him being awkward and caring and even angry. And throughout it all, though he is not jolly, we see how he values goodness. He is a real, fleshed-out character with a full emotional range, not a symbol for being perfect like most Santa Clauses. The cast and the characters are definitely the best part of this movie, because alone, the characters are amazing. Together, they're even better because they just build each other up, bounce off of each other really well. They just have great dynamic. It's amazing. Like, Jesper and Klaus, they have such an organic friendship. Like, you see them growing. You see, at first, like, Jesper is scared of Klaus, and then he begins to, kind of tease him as he grows more comfortable around him, and then Klaus begins to actually, reciprocate, and they begin to actually develop this dynamic, and then you see, as it goes on, you see how important they become to each other. You see that they actually really matter to each other, and they create an honest, emotional friendship that is really important to both of them, and they bring out the best in each other. Something I love about this movie is the fact that, in the beginning, none of the characters are heroes. None of them are heroic. Jesper is just being selfish and wants to find the quickest way to get back to his pampered life. Klaus is reserved from the world, hiding from everyone and everything, just wanting to keep to himself. And Alva is angry and spiteful and taking all that out on everyone and everything around her. None of them are heroes. None of them are intentionally trying to make the world a better place. None of them are trying to make Smearensburg a brighter place. It just happens. It happens as they grow and the town grows, and it actually happens pretty unintentionally, which I think is pretty awesome, because a lot of times you have that intentional hero who goes and tries to fix everything around them, and you have that to an extent with Klaus, who wants to bring joy to children, except none of them, they're not like the traditional heroes. None of the cast is a traditional hero who went in there thinking, I'm going to make Smearensburg a better place. They're all messy human beings who all are imperfect. None of them are better than each other. You could say Klaus is better than Jesper because he is nice to kids, except in the end, they're all flawed. Because Jesper is selfish, Klaus is hiding from the world, he's reserved, Alva is angry. They're all just messy human beings, and there is no clear, better than everybody else hero. And it's amazing. I just love how they did that because it's complex and it's interesting. Now, number 4, the story. The story, it's just great. Everything about this movie is great. The plot of the movie is the origin of Santa Claus. And everything has a reason. His red clothes, the reindeer, the chimney, the naughty list, all of it has a direct origin we see in this movie. They do such a good job tying everything together in a natural way throughout the movie. Seemingly inconsequential things, like accidentally losing the wheels of your wagon, lead to long-lasting parts of the tradition, like the sleigh. It's so cool watching it all fall into place throughout the movie. Same with Jesper learning to be a better person, how at the same time the town grows together, and we see both Jesper and the town become better people, better places to be. We see as his heart opens up, so do the townspeople's. It's so cool seeing how the system falls into place and everything snowballs. The naughty list was an invention by Jesper to get revenge at a kid who made fun of him, but it led to kids welcoming their neighbors and spreading good throughout the sad town of Smearensburg. He asked them to write letters, which leads to the ones who can't write to go to Alva's school, fulfilling her dream job. Everything fits together perfectly. It's such a complex plot, but it just it's so many steps and so complex and so much tied together, and yet it doesn't feel overwhelming. They handled it. They balanced it all. They tied together this really amazing story just wonderfully. Number 5, the comedy. This movie is actually genuinely funny. It's got this sort of dark humor at times, which really adds to the flavor of the movie. It adds to the character of the movie. It's great. And a lot of the comedy is just Jesper being Jesper, which I think is great because he's Jesper and he's amazing. He's amusing and entertaining. So it's just a genuinely funny movie with, I think, some great comedy. Number 6, the emotions. This movie is actually really emotional. It deals with heavy themes of loss and forgiveness. It's a really good movie with really powerful messages and a bittersweet ending. It's just really good. Klaus's story specifically is just really heartfelt, where the reason that he loves bringing joy to children is because children was the life that he wanted. He wanted so badly for him and his wife to have a bunch of kids. And I love that too. Side note, if I may digress for a moment, I love seeing someone actually desire a big family, because a lot of times big families with more than like 6 kids or more is treated like, wow, that's a big family. That's kind of weird. It's important to me that a character actually values big family, and that it could be shown that you might actually want a lot of kids, because nothing wrong with a lot of kids. Klaus's backstory is just so heartfelt, and it's really great, and it's just so sad and emotional. And oh my gosh, that scene where he and Jesper are talking, and Jesper just keeps pushing and pushing him, and he's like, I don't want to keep making toys, and then Jesper pulls down the curtain, and it's all revealed, and then Klaus, like, lashes out at him. It's just so raw and poignant, and it's so good. It's so good. This movie is so good. And then we see that healing of he gets to bring joy to children everywhere. He gets to bring joy to children everywhere. And even if he doesn't have the life that he wanted, the life he has is pretty good. Because he has his best friend Jesper. He has a family. Even if it's not the family he originally wanted, even if his wife is gone, even if he never had to have his own kids, he grows and finds a family in his community and his friends. And it's amazing. It's just that healing is awesome to see. And I just love, and it adds an extra meaning. Like, a lot of times people are just like, oh, Santa likes kids because he's a nice guy. But it's like, Santa loves kids because it's what he values. That kids was his life's meaning. He wanted kids. That was his ultimate goal in life. And you just add that extra meaning, and it suddenly means so much more that ghosty Santa is choosing to spend the rest of his ghosty life, like giving gifts to kids. It suddenly means so much more. And then that scene, that turning point, when Klaus and Jesper give the sled to that little girl, and then Klaus and Jesper are watching her play with the sled, and Jesper's face actually lights up with an honest to goodness, genuine smile, and it's the most heartwarming thing in the entire world. And then Klaus, like, kind of teases him, like, I know that smile, and it is so stinking cute. I love that scene. In the movie, another awesome thing that happens is that Jesper is speaking to himself about how miserable he is in his life in Smearensburg, and he's thinking to himself, am I just going to stay here with a bunch of crazy people, never wanting anything more? And then later, he actually reprises the speech, and it becomes affectionate, like, and he's like, crazy people, never wanting anything more, you know, the crazy people becomes affectionate as my family, my crazy family that I love, and never wanting anything more changes from being disappointed with what he has to being satisfied with what he has, to being happy with the life that he has. And it's such a cool thing that just shows Jesper's maturity and how much he has grown. It's so cool. And then another emotional part of the movie is when Jesper's father comes to Smearenburg's, and Jesper's friends and family realize that Jesper's idea for the letters to Klaus were a scheme to get home, to get back to that pampered life. And they feel so betrayed. Klaus and Alva, they just leave Jesper behind. And it is so emotional. This scene, with everyone else in the dark and then Jesper alone in the light, and his shot, the emotions on his face, the redness in his eyes as tears are beginning to come, it is so raw, it's so powerful, and it's just such a good scene. It's like, this is cinema right here. This is so good. And it's heartbreaking too, because at that point in the movie, he had already changed. He had already decided that he loved Smearensburg. He had already moved beyond that original selfish plan to get home. But they found out about it a little too late. And now they're mad at something he's already given up, and a scheme that he's already given up on. So that in and of itself is heartbreaking. So it's so good. And then, oh my gosh, this movie is so good. The more I think about it, the more good stuff I remember. Another thing that I love, like the emotions, is Jesper's relationship with that little girl that I don't remember the name of. I apologize for not knowing her name. I know it starts with M, but that little girl. Because originally he's like, ugh, go away, you know, you're wasting my time. And you see the beginning of the movie, like, his relationship with her, like, contrast, like, is another thing that just shows, like, his development throughout the movie. Because at the beginning, and he doesn't care about her because she's not doing him any good. She's not giving him anything, so why is he bothering with her? But then, as they interact, she doesn't understand English, so he just, like, uses her as almost like a person to just kind of trauma dump to and talk to, because he needs someone to talk to. And then, as you are going to do with anyone you trauma dump to, you slowly, like, feel more comfortable around them. You slowly, like, grow to the relationship. And then you see them when he and Alva kind of, like, he like brings this kid under his wing, and it's so emotional and it's so cute. And this scene with him and Alva teaching the little girl how to speak English is so stinking cute, and he has such dad energy. Jasper has such dad energy by the end of this movie. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Okay. And it's just like, it's so good. Oh, another thing that I love is Jasper's relationship with his father. His father has this kind of like Disney villain design where he looks like he's going to be all stern and sus, and then he is kind of stern when he sends Jasper to Smearensburg. But the difference is that he's a good person, and he honestly wants the best for his son. So in the end, when he comes back and he's going to bring Jasper home because he's apparently sent 14,000 letters out of Smearensburg, although he didn't because that was just the villains trying to get rid of him. But then the father actually talks to him and is like, when he finds out that Jasper wants to stay in Smearensburg, it's just like, I'm proud of you. And that means so much because we actually see a good father. And I think it's especially cool to have him have this kind of like villain looking design, because it shows that, like, I don't know, I just like twisting the designs, and it shows, and using like unconventional looks for your characters, because it just shows like, I don't know, people with pointy hair don't have to be evil. I don't know. I love the community of Smearensburg, growing together, growing closer. It's such a heartwarming part of the movie. Every part of the movie is heartwarming, but this is the one I'm talking about right now. Like, there's this montage where the whole community is growing closer, and I love that montage. It fills me up with happiness. And in that montage, we see, so like there's these two little kids who are playing together, and they get in trouble for it because they're from different clans. But then their parents actually start being friends, and then actually we see their parents holding hands later in the movie, implying that they're a couple, which is so cute. It like shows like these clan borders were stopping friends from being friends, family from being family, and now they've gotten past them, and they've come together as a community, and it's so cool to see. Like, those two moms who are giving each other gifts, and then they actually start doing it like condescendingly, like, oh, here's a gift, but I'm better than you, but they're still giving each other gifts. But then they actually like welcome each other into their homes, and we see them become friends and become family. It's so cool. Like, it's so cool seeing the community come together. It is so cool. I also can't review this movie without mentioning the music, because it's got some really great music, and specifically there's this use of the song Invisible, and I don't know if the song was written for this movie or if it was written beforehand and used in the movie, but either way, it's an iconic scene, and the lyrics of the song are just perfect for the movie and the message of the movie and what the characters are going through. So, it's amazing. It's just such an emotional movie, and also I love the little mini like romance subplot with Jasper and Alva. And their romance is so good, because I was thinking it's kind of going to be like she's mean to him throughout the movie and stuff. And then he's like, if he ends up like being in love with her, when she's being a jerk to him. I always hate relationships where one of the characters is just a jerk to the other, and yet that second character is in love with them. It's like, why are you in love with them? They're a jerk. Except they actually, like, their romance comes more naturally, where they fall in love after Alva becomes a good person. It's just so good. Like, and then it's, like, so natural. Like, the romance is so natural. The fact that Alva and Jasper have kids, oh my gosh. And then that part where he's like, stamp, and he kisses them, it's so cute. It's so cute. This movie is so emotional. And it gets even better when at the very end, it's a bittersweet ending, because Klaus actually dies. And he turns into a ghost with his wife. But he becomes, like, a ghost that goes in every Christmas delivering gifts. So that's how Santa Claus is finally formed. And it's cool, but it's bittersweet because Jasper is now separated from its friends, but then he gives us this really awesome ending line. Oh, it's so good.
What I do know is that once a year, I get to see my friend.
This movie is a must-watch for Christmas movie fans, animation fans, anyone looking for an emotional movie that covers topics of loss, forgiveness, growth, community, friendship, and family. It's amazing. And I think that's all I really gotta say. So, thanks for watching. This video was a little rambly at parts because I had a rough script, but I kind of went off script at a couple points because there was a lot of stuff that I was excited about as I was, like, reading off my script, which was my script was, like, a pretty basic review of the movie without getting into any specifics, but then I got really excited thinking of some of the specifics, and I had to get into them, so that's why there's a lot of rambly bits. Go watch Klaus.